All right, quick video, real quick on disassembling a Lews. I chose this specific one. It's a Classic Pro. This is lower end Lews reel, but it's actually a left-handed reel, which is not my natural. But because it has a couple of different things you have to do different, like this nut here and the drag washer is not lefty-loosey, righty-tighty. It would be the opposite because of the left-handed retrieve. Simple things I use are the tools that have the rotating back ends for the push small item tools, the special nut, the handle for the nut. I use tweezers, and then I have my special tool right here, the 90-degree Phillips, and the flat head. In the case there's a stuck a screw. It helps me with the leverage side of it. So we'll start taking this apart real quick. Hopefully it only takes about 10 minutes, and I'll talk through some of it as we go through the video. I first use the flathead the small flathead to pop the dust caps off of the handles. These are typically jammed up, so I go ahead and go straight to the tool, break them loose. Like so. Shake the screw out of them. In this specific reel, you'll find that instead of bearings and the handles, these are going to be plastic inserts. This is what usually will make it more of a low end. Plastic inserts, but a lot of times these are bearings inside of those. So a little note to self when you're disassembling a more high-end reel. Not a bad reel. You replace the bearings, place the plastic bushings with bearings, and it becomes closer to a high-end reel. Get the screws out. What you'll notice, and you can't quite see, but I start lining up all my parts exactly how I'm taking them out. That way I keep track of the direction that I put them back in. All right. Take the nut keeper screw out. Again, this is going to be righty-loosey. And take the keeper again. Keep everything on your towel just right. Take the handle off completely. Make sure you don't lose this little washer. It's the actual separator from the handle and the drag star. Those vary in different sizes depending on what reel you're. Get the drag star off. One of the important things here is whenever you're taking off the washers that are for the friction for the drag, make sure you remember how you take them off. This one has like the silver coupling with the two washers inside of it. With the silver washers inside, just remember the position of the cup and that the washers go inside and that they curve in opposite directions. Just remember the sequence. I usually start from the right side of my towel. As I'm disassembling, I'll move towards the left side of the towel. This is one of those special reels with several screws. Again, always make sure that when you take the screws out, you line them up in the direction and placement if you just had to make a mental picture of how you take them out. Because a lot of times the screw sizes vary, and one won't fit any hole like the other, and it'll either be too long or too big in diameter. So it's good to place them on your towel exactly how you face them on the reel and set them out on your towel like that. This one fortunately has all the same size screws. then you can take them all the way down. This one's got a little dirt on it. All right, and now you're ready to disassemble the outside. All right, so I typically will place all my big parts all the way to the left. I want to walk you through this completely. When we took the top off, there was a little washer that came out. I usually keep that washer and that bushing together right there. I'm not sure the name of that. Make sure you don't lose these springs right here. Make sure you have to replace those. And as you're taking off the center pieces, line them up exactly how they come off of the shaft of the main drive shaft. This one's going to have a friction washer, and the difference between this one and the high-end reel, you'll have more friction washers with more silver plates as they go along, sometimes 2 or 3 sets. So as I line them up, I'll line them up in the order that I take them off. All right, so I take out the pinion gear, its piece right here. One of the big things to note, gear, the grease always bunches up right there. Keep that group there. So take a little bit of that grease out of there. I get a little deeper in every reel. A lot of people don't do this with this main drive shaft because people get nervous about taking off the drive shaft. But when you see a bearing count, no one pays attention to the bearing that's underneath here. And if you never take this off, you never get to that bearing. In this case, this bearing is separated and not made into the main drive shaft. So I'll take these 2 screws out here. Again, keep that in a group. And you'll find that your towel will keep groups of things together that relate to each other. Again, took the drive shaft off, keep that right there. And the bearing that I need to clean is right underneath it. So a lot of times you'll see this big grease build up where that bearing came out of. Grease not necessarily in coordination with the bearing. You want oil, not grease in there, but that's where it naturally builds up in the grease section. So that's going to be important to clean later on. Now we can remove the other side plate, which has a few components in it, not necessarily disassemble. Of course, your spool, and we're not quite done yet. So now I'm moving towards the taking off the front grill, I call it. I'm not sure what it's really called, but sometimes there's a screw on each side. In this case, there's only a screw on one side of it. So remove the grill, like so. Now you're exposed to the whole worm gear and of course all the collection of dust and everything. So at this time, I'll take off the nut. Never tighten this very hard. It's typically plastic in most cases. Take out this piece right here, right out of the worm gear. I forgot what this is called suddenly. Then you take this keeper pin, what they call an E-clamp, off the inside of here. I'll use my tweezers in this case to actually pull the plastic little hub. You can see they got a little dirt build up here. And usually it comes off a little easier. There we go. Got the keeper washer. And I'm not sure what all these parts are called, but I know where they go. Again, this is left-handed, so it took me a little while to get used to these. All right, push the worm gear through. In this situation, you have this little small gear here that pushes down so that you can remove the pin. It's the only way this whole thing will be disassembled. Remove the pin, remove that gear, remove the worm drive gear. And again, in this situation, there's typically a ball bearing right here, but in the lower end reel, it's going to be a plastic bushing. You can replace that if you choose. Small potatoes compared to everything else. Remove the guide bar that comes off of here. Eventually you You'll pull out where the worm gear casing is, which is usually pretty dirty, pretty important. Take out the level one as well. You'll see the gear thing is here. Almost done, almost done. In this situation, on this type of reel, you go through the main body, and this one's actually stuck, so I'll go with the flathead to loosen it. Usually you can have the two options. Broke the screw there, so I like to take the thumb bar off because when we get to the cleaning stage, the thumb bar will be kind of in the way, and you can get underneath and clean all the inside before you put it back onto the back, but it opens up the back side here. So at this point, you pretty much disassemble just about everything except the actual thumb action here, which is not totally necessary because you can access that to clean it very well. And so biggest part about all this is to do exactly what we did in shooting this video. That way you can backtrack in case there's something missing at the end of the day, and you can see exactly where you took it out from and put it back the exact same way. In a later video, we'll give some little tips on exactly how to clean each thing. We all have different method. I've collected a few extra tools and accessories that I can do, as you see on the table here. But basically you clean up and practice putting it back together again. Let me know if you have any questions. Thanks.